Hello, welcome to Pioneer Counseling. I'm Jairus Shaheen. Today we're going to talk about the new counseling compact contract. Not so much new to all our states, but for Missouri, this is the year that we're getting a commission and a commissioner and everything's going live. It's 2025 right now as this video is being recorded. So we're going to hop into it to a set of slides to go over a few pieces of information. And then we're going to hop into the Committee for Professional Counselors board website to look at more information. So let's go to our slides here, and we're going to talk through these real quick and then jump into the details found on the board website. So, what's the Counseling Compact contract, and how does it work? The Counseling Compact is an agreement between 37 states. It's going to keep growing. More and more states are filtering or agreeing or passing this for their state that allows licensed professional counselors to legally practice across member state lines. Now, this is different than just telehealth, where you get a telehealth waiver. This does let you check all the boxes and be able to provide counseling across state lines. It standardizes licensure requirements. It grants mobility to counselors while improving client access to mental health services. Where before you had to be have a reciprocal license and pay all those additional costs and go through all those hoops, this is supposed to make it a little bit easier. Who's eligible to become a compact counselor? The criteria are similar to what you had to go through to get licensed and pay all the fees and put in an application and everything. But you've got to be an active, unencumbered license to have an active, unencumbered license in a compact member state. So of those 37, and we'll look at those where you can find those here shortly. You have to have passed the nationally recognized counseling exam, a 60 semester hour master's degree in counseling or equivalent coursework, completion of a supervised postgraduate professional experience, and a criminal background check with fingerprinting. Most of us have already gone through that. Which states are currently involved? As in January 2025, there's 37 states that have enacted legislation to join the Counseling Compact. So we can look at this list here once we go to the board website. I'll show you that. When could I begin practicing under the compact? The Counseling Compact is expected to issue practice privileges by you sending an application or completing an application in 2025. Implementation depends on each state's readiness and infrastructure. What is the process for obtaining this privilege? Steps to obtain the privilege include verifying your eligibility with your home state licensing board, completing the application, submitting required documents, undergoing or having undergone a criminal background check, including fingerprinting, and paying the applicable fees. How does the Counseling Compact relate to legal cross state practices? So, this is pretty important. Once you get accepted or approved, you have to make sure that you are not just following the telehealth laws, but looking into what those state laws and regulations are. Some of them might be different than your issuing home state. So, you have to be on the up and up with those laws in those states. Why will the counseling compact? Why will the counseling compact affect all therapists? So this is kind of interesting. Whether you're part of it or not, the compact's implementation influences the broader mental health field by setting a precedence for interstate practice in other professions. So it's going to increase some of the competition for mental health services. This is going to encourage regulatory changes in related fields. So you're going to see a little bit of ebbs and flows with services being provided across state lines, and especially among larger agencies. They're really going to start fighting harder to gain the attention of potential clients or consumers. What are common misconceptions and myths about cross state practice? This is some misconceptions that you're assuming privileges are automatic without application. You do have to complete an application. Believing that non member states are part of the compact, they are not. Thinking that the compact removes all state specific legal requirements, it doesn't. You still have to go through this process. What are misunderstandings about the Counseling Compact? Some people confuse it with telehealth laws. Those are two separate topics. Assuming that all counselors and member states are automatically eligible, they are not. Believing it overrides state laws and regulations, it does not. Lastly, how will interstate compacts affect private practices and organizations? Well, expanding access to clients in other states is a great thing. Requiring adjustments for compliance with multi state regulations. So, looking to see if there are any conflicting issues with laws. And then updating billing practices to reflect cross state service provisions. Each state is going to have to figure that out. Each agency and their billing HR is going to figure out how do we show where this service was provided to and if there's any differences in billing across state lines. All right, so let us hop over to the Missouri Board the Committee website. When you land on pr.mo.gov/counselors, you will see a new button here that says Counselor Compact Update. Clicking on that, you will see the notice. This was posted last year, talking about a public notice they'll be taking January of 2024. That has come and gone in regards to rulemaking and the proposed rules on fees. We got an update here saying applications for the compact privileges to practice are expected to open in 2025. That has not yet occurred. And then you have a link for the new Missouri Compact Statute. Now, this is going to look a lot similar to all the other statutes, but it's going to break down each section and it's going to be a lot to read. So, buckle up and we're going to look at each section and do a quick overview. It'll be on you to read the detail line by line. Now, if you want to know more about the overall counseling compact contract across each state with a state map, stay tuned. We're going to do that after we go through um, the statute, the Missouri statute. All right, diving in, this is going to look similar or familiar if you've looked at the other statutes. This breaks it down into categories. So the purpose, definitions, state participating in the compact and what they need to consider, privilege to practice. Section 5, obtaining a new home state license based on a privilege to practice. Section 6, active duty military personnel. Section 7, compact privilege to practice telehealth. Section 8, adverse actions. Section 9, establishment of counseling compact commission. Section 10, data system and what you need to consider for your data systems. Section 11, rulemaking. Section 12, oversight, dispute resolution, and enforcement. Section 13, date of implementation of the Counseling Compact Commission and associated rules, withdrawal, and amendment. So the processes and procedures for what they have to work through or how to work through different items. Section 14, construction and severability. Section 15, binding effect of compact and other laws. So again, we're going to do a quick overview of these, but it'll be on you to go through line by line. So the purpose, we talked about that in our slides. It's to improve cross-state provision of services. This breaks down definitions of what's found in the statute. Things like what is the Counseling Compact Commission? What's an encumbered license? What's a data system? So you can read through these. Section 3, state participation in the compact. So, to participate in the compact, this is what the state has to do. The state must currently license and regulate LPCs, required that they pass an exam, require that they have a master's degree or equivalent. They have to make sure that they're practicing ethically, have social and cultural diversity training in these areas, courses in these areas. A member shall participate fully in the commission's data system, so you have to utilize their online system. So you can feel free to go through the rest of these. Privilege to practice. So to exercise the privilege to practice under terms and provisions, here's what you got to do. You have to hold a license in the home state. You have to have a valid social security number or NPI. You have to be eligible for a privilege to practice in a member state, and then have not have had any encumbered or restrictions against your license. You have to notify the commission that the license is seeking the privilege within a remote state. So that's the application. You have to pay any fees, meet any continuing competence education training. meet any jurisprudence requirements established by the remote state, report to the commission any adverse action or issues with your license. The privilege to practice is valid until the expiration date of your license, your home license. And you can find that by pulling up your license information on the board website. The licensee providing counseling in a remote state shall adhere to the laws of that remote state. The licensee providing professional counseling is subject to the state's regulatory authority. If a home state license is encumbered, the licensee shall lose privileges to practice in any remote state until you are no longer encumbered, have not had any encumbrances or restrictions for previous 2 years. Once an encumbered license is in the home state is in good standing, then you meet the requirement. If a licensee's privilege to practice in any remote state is removed, you may lose privilege to practice in all other remote states. So once kind of a domino effect there. Once you lose one, you lose all. The specific period of time for which the privilege to practice is removed has ended, and all fines have been paid and have not had any encumbered or restrictions against the license within the past 2 years. Once the requirements have been met, you must meet the requirements to obtain the privilege to practice. All right. So obtaining a new home state license, you can read through those. We're not going to dive into that section. Active duty and military, you can go through that. Uh, Compact privilege to practice telehealth. So again, telehealth and cross state lines, you still have to get specific telehealth training if you're practicing telehealth. Member states shall recognize the right of that LPC in the home state in accordance to the rules by the commission in any member state via telehealth. Um, a licensee providing services in a remote state shall practice adherence to the laws of that remote state. So usually, what that means is that the remote state has a waiver, a telehealth waiver. This does not mean that because you've filled in your application and you can provide cross state lines that you don't put in a request for a waiver. You still have to have a waiver, as far as I'm understanding how this reads. Adverse actions, etc. These are all similar to the other statutes that we have, so we won't go into depth there. Establishment of a counseling compact commission, that's more for the state to say there must be a commission in place. These things have to occur, membership, voting, meetings. So this is sort of like a subcommittee to the main board, is how I'm understanding and defining that. So we can skip through that unless you are interested or going to join that. Having a data system, so an EHR, you've got to showcase that there's a way to capture cross state, but also a data system for the state to identify that you've completed your application, licensure data, if there's been any adverse actions. So they have to make sure that that's in place, as well as rule making. How do we navigate remote and cross state issues that come up? How do we dispute or resolve or enforce these things? So this is more for the state to go through. Alrighty, well, thank you for joining. Feel free to subscribe to this YouTube channel, Pioneer Counseling, and I'll have more videos for you. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day.